Yes, you read the title right. Stripe is releasing their own stablecoin cryptocurrency. And not just that, believe it or not, they actually introduced a new programming language in here too, based on TypeScript, a new AI model that, while interesting, isn't going to be the focus, I promise, as well as a bunch of other really useful things about payment processing. It's rare I can so confidently say a video is essential viewing for startup people, but like if you're in any way managing the billing product that your company has, if you have any control over the Stripe links being sent to users, you want to watch this one. And for everybody else, if you're just curious what it looks like to manage money at scale, there's going to be a lot of fun to cover here. I've been through it with Stripe, probably more than most. I published all of the things I think about Stripe and how to work around them properly as a developer building web applications. Not only did they take that feedback incredibly well, they actually brought me in to give a presentation to the company, like the whole company. The CEO interviewed my CTO and me. It was awesome. And I got so much positive feedback from them. They've been working really hard to improve the platform. And even then, even with all this inside info, I had no idea any of this was going on. There's a little bit I did, but a lot that I didn't. There is so much to go into here, including the new recommended way I would tell you to use Stripe. If you want to hear about all of this, stick around, but Stripe isn't paying me. Well, technically Stripe deposits into one of my bank accounts for my business, but that's not their money, it's other people's money. And we need more of that before we can go. So quick word from today's sponsor, then we'll dive right in. We're in kind of unprecedented times right now. We have giant multi-billion-dollar companies using apps built by 3 people that just started a few days ago. It's nuts. And there's a lot of things you have to set up in order to do this right. One of those is auth, and you might be getting along pretty well rolling it yourself, but the moment you need to set it up with an enterprise, you're going to be worried about terms you've never heard before. If you're tired of dealing with SAML and Okta and all these other crazy things that you don't even know how to pronounce, you really need to check out today's sponsor, WorkOS. These guys get it. Both the things we need as fast builders, but also the things these businesses need in order to integrate. Instead of weeks going back and forth with the IT team trying to configure identity providers correctly, you can just send them a link to an admin portal. Then they can go through, click whatever provider they're using for their layers internally, and get it all set up on their side with no effort. Do you know how much work this saves? If you do, you're already signing up. And if you don't, I envy you. You will soon if your business is successful. We're dealing with this right now for T3 Chat, and I want to die. The best part is you don't even need to send them that onboarding link by hand. It's built into their API. You can just write a little bit of code and automatically email it to them, and they can set it all up themselves. Yes, this is fully hands-off, programmatic, enterprise onboarding. Sam Lambert's one of the pickiest people I know. He's the CEO of PlanetScale, and he's a really good friend. For him to be this kind about something says a lot about it. And PlanetScale's had an incredible time with WorkOS, and they're a business that's done a lot of things in the enterprise world. And they're far from the only one. I swear, every time I go to this list, I'm blown away with yet another company that was recently added. Carta's how I manage my cap table for my business. They're as businessy as they get. And they're in this list alongside Vercel, Cursor, OpenAI, Fowl, Perplexity, Plaid, and so many more. I've actually chatted about auth with Guillermo from Vercel quite a bit too. He said one of his biggest regrets was rolling their own auth, and he just wishes they used WorkOS earlier. And honestly, I'm starting to feel that too. I feel like I should bring up one last thing. Yes, 1 million users for free. So if you're trying to blitzscale and get your stuff to enterprise, you need WorkOS. Check them out today at soydev.link/WorkOS. Let's take a look. This was a bit of a crazy Stripe Sessions. If you're not familiar, Stripe Sessions is the event that Stripe hosts every year to talk about all the things they're doing. This Stripe session was a little interesting because all of their top tier sponsors are competitors. I thought that was fascinating. That's how confident Stripe is in their position in the market. But there's more nuance here than I am implying. We will be getting there soon. And apparently, a product manager replied. I didn't even see this. So Amazon Pay and Klarna are businesses they work with. But Freedom Pay is a competitor. And Klarna wasn't a business that they worked with until very recently. That's one of the reveals here. But yeah, still kind of wild. Regardless, I appreciate the clarification. Anyways, they talk about the model stuff. The TLDR on their AI model is that it's for detecting fraud. Great. Detecting fraud is an unsolved problem. The more they can help there, the better. I'm happy to give them a bigger percentage if it means we don't get as many chargebacks. But there's a lot of other stuff going on here that we need to talk about. The one I am most excited for by far is managed payments. Managed payments is their version of MOR, which stands for Merchant of Record. If you're not familiar with Merchant of Record, I'm going to do my best job to break it down quick. The example that I think will make more sense is EOR, which is employer of record. If I am your employer and I am based out of California, but you're based out of a different state, like, I don't know, Idaho, I cannot employ you at my California company. Technically speaking, I need to have a business arm incorporated in your state in order to employ you. I don't need to have an office there. I don't need to have presence there. I just need to have a corporation or a corporate entity in that state in order to employ you. When we're talking about different states within the United States, it's annoying but doable. When I had more employees at T3 Chat and Ping, we had these little like companies that we had incorporated in these different states in order to employ our employees across the country. Annoying, but absolutely doable. I ended up discovering this concept of an employer of record because a certain YC company was actually really cool. This is Deal. They're in some drama right now. I'm not interested in talking about it just yet, but Deal is employer of record as a service. So what Deal has done is they went to every state in the US and every country that you would reasonably want to employ somebody in as a startup in the United States and incorporated in all of those places. So now, if I want to employ somebody, I don't have to incorporate in all the places that those employees might be. Instead, technically speaking, they're employed by Deal. So in a traditional employee-employer relationship, if I have like the company and I have my little employees all over wherever, and each of these employees was in a different state, then my company would have to have a mini company for each of those states. And I am effectively the owner of this business, which is the one that the employee works for. The thing that is different with employer of record is that instead of me having all of those small companies myself, we have a separate company in between that handles all of that for us. And now all of the employees technically work for Deal instead. So when I was using Deal for employing some of our remote employees, they would get a paycheck from Deal. Their healthcare benefits came from Deal. All of the things that they would expect for being an employee, like their dashboard that keeps track of their payments and their like salary, when I give them a raise, it goes through that. Deal is technically their employer, and I am contracting Deal to let that person do work for me. This seems chaotic, but it makes life significantly easier, in particular with compliance across many different countries. We had an employee out of Canada for a bit, and this was so much easier than dealing with all the hoops to jump through in order to have a business in Canada. So why are we talking about this? Let's go back to merchant of record. I'm going to keep this diagram a bit, but all of these are instead of employees, but now as customers. So you're a customer and you want to subscribe to T3 Chat. So you go to our website, you click the Stripe checkout link. Now you are on our payment processing through Stripe. And when you make the payment, you'll get a little thing in your credit card invoicing. So like your credit card statement is going to have all the purchases you made. You might have YouTube Premium, $15, but it will say like Google or whatever like that. You might have PayPal, Twitch sub for $6, and you'll get all of these. For T3 Chat, you'll get, I think it'll be T3 Tools, T3 Chat sub, $5. Because all Stripe is doing is processing the payment. They take your credit card number, they make sure with the issuer that you are authorized to make a transaction like this, and then they put it in an account that Stripe is managing to pay out to me. But the payment processing is all Stripe is doing. They are using that credit card to transact and get money out of it. But that transaction is still owned by me, the company, which means if there are any tax issues or compliance issues or regulations and all of that shit, that's all my problem. If I go over a threshold for taxes in Europe, that is my problem to figure out. If I want to put the right sales tax for every different state and every different country that somebody could subscribe from into my product, that's my problem because I am the merchant. You are buying from me. The money is going to me. Do you see where we're going? Merchant of record is very similar to what I just described with Deal and employer of record. This is Stripe MOR. So now, instead of your payment going straight to me, it goes to the Stripe MOR. Stripe has already incorporated in pretty much every country and state you would need to. They've already figured out tax compliance in all of those places. The difference that a customer will see is instead of this saying T3 Tools, it's going to look more like the PayPal one. It's going to say Stripe. and then specify more info, because the payment isn't going directly to us. The payment is now going to Stripe instead, which means with that, all of the compliance, all of the liability, all of the fighting around chargebacks, all of the pain that you have to deal with that we have spent way too much time fighting for T3 Chat and for all the stuff that I've built effectively goes away. This doesn't make it easier to write the code or anything. This benefits much more once you've shipped the product, you have people paying for it, and you're fighting everything from disputes to scams to weird tax compliance laws in countries you don't even know how to pronounce the names of. Totally not speaking from experience here. I'm in hell right now, guys, okay? I really wanted this to exist. There was one other popular merchant of record that's worth talking about here. Lemon Squeezy was a startup focused on providing a good dashboard, SDK, and all the pieces you need to make a payment go through in your app. They were built on top of Stripe, but they were a merchant of record as well. Lemon Squeezy got acquired by Stripe, and the CEO, JR, has been working incredibly hard to make this product happen. It's been his sole focus effectively since the acquisition occurred, and they did it. The Stripe merchant of record that they refer to as managed payments is now in a private preview. They will manage global tax, fraud prevention, disputes, fulfillment, and even support for transactions. So if a customer had their credit card get stolen and money was spent on your service, they don't have to contact your support anymore. They can go straight to Stripe. A merchant of record is the legal entity responsible for facilitating the sale of products to a customer and for following applicable local laws and regulations. When you act as your own merchant of record, you're responsible for registering for and remitting tax to local authorities, accepting payments, handling fraud and disputes, order fulfillment, and customer support for transactions. There is now a product that does all of this for you. If you look at the gap here, we have the managed payments versus other Stripe products. Merchant of record Stripe versus your business. Global tax management, they'll do for you versus you have to set up the tax compliance yourself. You can only use the checkout page versus all the other fun things that they offer, but honestly, checkout page is really nice. It's what we use for everything. Subscriptions, all handled. Fraud, handled for you. Disputes for you. Order management and support, handled for you. You get the idea. They'll also be offering the ability to migrate from Lemon Squeezy to managed payments, which is really nice for people who are still on Lemon Squeezy. I've been hearing some, I hate to talk any shit on JR because he's been so awesome to work with, but I have heard a lot of customers that were on Lemon Squeezy that are suffering because the product's been slowly falling apart. Managed payments is absolutely meant to kill Lemon Squeezy. So it's nice that they're offering a path out for all the people who are still using it. That's a huge win. That's the managed payments part. If you're a startup and you can get into this private preview, I would recommend it because you don't want to deal with these things later. So the sooner you can have it managed, the less stress you'll have to feel. I am considering making the move myself. Now for the fun things that a lot of you are still watching for. Stripe's programming language as well as their cryptocurrency. Stripe Scripts is a really interesting new piece of what they announced. Program your business logic directly in Stripe with Scripts. They say it's TypeScript, but they then immediately call out it's a subset of TypeScript. It is a custom language that they built. It maintains a lot of TypeScript features, but it has key differences, including a more restrictive set of allowed operations, which means they probably built their own runtime too. Using a subset of TypeScript, you can write and submit custom logic in Stripe. With Scripts, you can define your own logic for specific Stripe objects, tailor your Stripe account for your specific business needs, and extend Stripe beyond its standard functionality. An example they give is you can use a custom discount logic chunk on a new coupon so that different customers can have the coupon apply in different ways. Functions can take in two things that are defined by the author, as well as things that are defined by Stripe. So here is an example they give where we have a script configuration, has max discount amount and a discount percentage. The SDK provides built-in types that you can use as part of your configuration definition. So here's a type they have where max discount has to be a positive amount and discount percent has to be a percent. Now you can define something this is a 50% off, but it's only 50% off up to a certain amount of money. You can define this type and then implement the logic for a coupon. So now I can make a 50% off coupon that will only go up to a certain amount of money with custom logic, which wasn't particularly viable before. This is a huge win. That would have been previously you would have implemented your own coupon logic in your JavaScript, in your application, probably on the server side, in order to create different coupons dynamically to apply for these different cases. And it would be theoretically possible for somebody to grab the coupon code and apply it to a different invoice instead and screw you over if you don't put the right assertions everywhere. This is a huge win to be able to define that in logic that lives on Stripe's side, so you can give a coupon code to whoever and know that you won't lose a ton of money in the process. That's just one example they have here too. And here's how you would use that script. This is an example of a 20% off coupon up to $100. And we are calling the Stripe API. We are identifying the script that we want this to use in its creation of the coupon. We are configuring it to have up to $100 off, which 10,000 cents, which is $100. USD is the amount, and then the discount percent of 20. These are all variables that we have passed in our calling of the Stripe API. You can even see what this looks like in other languages like Node, JavaScript. They always call it Node because they want you running it on client. They want to be clear there. So Stripe coupon create, duration, name, script. Identify the script and then pass it configuration values. So we're checking if the currency is the same between what we passed and what the checkout is about to be. We then run the discount code. So we take the discount percentage. We now have a discount amount value. And then the actual amount is set to be the minimum between the amount value and the max. And then we return it. Awesome. That's actually really convenient. I see how we will be using this already. This will be super nice. I need to stop dancing around it. We need to talk about Stripe Crypto. This might initially look like it's just for them to let you take crypto payments, but this goes much deeper. This goes significantly deeper because of the stablecoin bit. And also because of Bridge, which is a company that Stripe owns. I don't know if they acquired them or if they incubated and started them. But the point here is to make money transfer easier, regardless of the currency the money started in. Because it's quite annoying to have to transition money between USD, euros, and all the other currencies your users might have money in. Multi-currency management is not a fun problem at all. And it's really awesome to see Stripe taking it seriously. And it's honestly one of the few applications of crypto I've seen that I vibe with like at all. I see a lot of potential to using stablecoins specifically for this. If you're not familiar with what stablecoins are, the point is that it's not a traditional crypto where the value goes up and down randomly based on how the market feels about it. This isn't Ethereum or Bitcoin where your money will vanish and then reappear in a day. But it is still crypto where when you send it, you can't charge it back, which obviously helps with a lot of things. And it also means that there are very low, if any, transaction fees at all, especially when you're like trying to send money over borders. If I want to send you $100 and you're in a different region, we have to eat a lot of different things as I send you that money. But if I send you 100 stable coins, you can choose how you convert that on your end yourself. The way that Stripe has these implemented is, as I mentioned before, through Bridge. The stable coins in your account on Stripe are going to be a new crypto called USDB, which is issued by Bridge. It's the USD Bridge stablecoin. USDB is an infrastructure stablecoin issued by Bridge. It's always backed one-to-one by the equivalent value of US dollars held in cash and short-duration money market funds at BlackRock. So when you have money in USDB, there are real dollars that mirror that money. That is a very nice thing, so you don't have to worry about the crypto going to zero. And since this is backed by Stripe, not by a crypto company, the coin is much less likely to go to zero. This is an actual useful implementation of crypto for business like account management, unlike anything I've seen before, especially when you realize that they're doing this at the same time as their new tooling around multi-currency management. The new money management stuff lets you hold money in different currencies. If all of this money is just stable coins under the hood, switching it between the different currencies and between different accounts is way easier, especially when you combine that with their new credit card product. Yes, you can now get a credit card through Stripe that spends your USDB balance. And when you use that card, you don't have to deposit the money from Stripe to your bank account. Credit for this idea goes to an interesting place, Levels.io, who called out the guy I mentioned before, JR, because he was talking about how excited he was to build product for startups at Stripe. And as somebody who's talked to him a ton, I can confirm he's very much dedicated to doing this. It's the thing he wants to do, and he's loving it. Level said that he wants to pay his bills with Stripe. He has a bunch of money sitting in Stripe at any given time, and instead of having to do the back and forth going from Stripe to your bank to wherever else you want to pay, which is a lot of back and forth, if he can just use a credit card that has a Stripe balance attached to it, and can spend from that directly, he never needs to move the money out, or you can move it when it hits certain thresholds. It makes life significantly easier when you constantly have money in Stripe. It just means less money moving around constantly. Like, it's so silly that for something like us with T3 Chat, you pay us, the money goes to Stripe, we have it automatically move the money from Stripe to our bank account, which takes 3 to 15 days. Then I send that same money back to Stripe, but this time for Anthropic or OpenAI, in order to pay for the credits for all the AI stuff that you as the user were using that put the money in Stripe. There's just so many back and forths that don't need to happen. If it could just stay in Stripe and I use the card to pay another company that's using Stripe as well, the money's just transferring between different Stripe accounts. That makes life much easier. This is a really cool win. And I could very much see us using Stripe's cards to zero transaction fees, pass money between different Stripe accounts with different products that we are using for our business. I've also seen a lot of issues that people like Levels have had trying to withdraw from Stripe to banks in a lot of different countries. So if he could use the card to spend money from Stripe without having to fight them to open up a bank account in Portugal or Estonia and get the money deposited there, this will make his life significantly easier. And for foreign founders in particular, this seems like a very, very big win, especially alongside the merchant of record stuff. So as crazy as it sounds, I am actually in favor of Stripe introducing cryptocurrencies. Not because I want people to pay me in crypto, but because it's a very useful primitive for them to have implemented behind the scenes as the way money is being passed around between things. It makes a ton of sense. Most of y'all won't care about this part, but those who do, this is huge. They're adding Klarna to Stripe Link. Klarna is a really big payment processing group, especially for European payments. Klarna is incredibly popular in Europe, and right now is one of the most common requests we get for T3 Chat. People want to pay using Klarna because it's the thing they are used to using in those regions. They also have a buy now, pay later like credit thing too, but that's not what I care about with Klarna. What I care about is that Europeans seem to like paying for things with Klarna, and having support for that in Stripe is pretty cool. I think you can do it without the loan stuff. It seems like from how people are asking for the product that they don't want it just for the flexible payment thing. They want it because it's their payment processor of choice. But there's also Zola and a few others too. Regardless, anything that makes it easier for European customers to pay for stuff on our services is a good win. So I'm excited about that one. I don't think I have anything else to say here on Stripe. I am curious how you guys feel about this video though, more than usual, because I don't normally go this deep on entirely business implementation detail stuff. Did you make it to the end? Did you enjoy what I had to say? Are you curious about the other interesting payment stuff going on, both with Polar and their partnership with BetterOff, or with Clerk adding in payments as part of their product? There's a lot going on in the payment world right now, which is crazy because it's been pretty stationary for a while. Now, things are shaking up quickly, and I'm excited that payments are finally going to start improving once again. Let me know what you guys think, and until next time, peace nerds.